Hello and welcome to Game Plan Africa. My name is Charles. I am one of your hosts. As you can tell, I have, I have as see. I never feel speak English again, Seth. I have as one of my guests somebody that I actually do regret bringing on on this program. Oh my Lord!
Liverpool.
Oh geez. Well, we have the one and only Edet Umoren, who is the number one Liverpool fan in the United States. Yeah, I call him that because he's the only, as small as that team is, Liverpool. They are the only fan I know in the US is this guy.
Hey,
so
always one of one, bro.
I brought him in to talk to us. First of all, welcome to the pod. You are officially our first guest, and we are glad to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But you got to put some respect to the name, though. You got to put some respect to it. You should be in your retired military uniform right now, giving guard of honor to Liverpool. Liverpool. Go ahead.
As Edet just mentioned, Edet is a U.S. Marine. He's a gunnery sergeant with the United States Marine Corps. That's if you know my background, that will probably ring a bell on where the ties are. So me and Edet go way back. He's like a brother to me, not just as a fellow Marine, but also from where we come from. We literally come from the same state, right? My mom comes from the same state as his dad, and when he first moved, I mean, who come here first? Now me,
but I got here September 2006.
No, you came here first, right? You came here before me, right? And we actually did, way back. We lived in the same apartment and joined the military almost at the same time. He's a career United States Marine, and I was done, and he continued. Right now, he's a gunnery sergeant with the Marines, and I know very soon he will pick up
First sergeant.
First sergeant, yes, because I was about to say something else. So first of all, I want to say thank you for your service. This week was the Memorial Day week.
Yesterday.
I would say now because of yesterday when we're filming. So it's always a time to reflect on what military service members are doing, the ones that paved the way for us to be here. So it's anytime you have an opportunity to thank a service member, you always do it. So I want to say thank you for your service.
My pleasure, sir.
And,
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I pray you are still with us for a very long time.
Thank you.
But what brought us here? As you can see, this guy is decked out in all Liverpool gear, right?
This is Anfield.
Geez.
This right here, Anfield.
So you guys had your parade, and congratulations on a non-deserved win. We know this is the team that should have won it. We know this is the team that should have won it, but because of our village people, it did not happen. It did not happen. So, but congratulations. It was a good season. No matter how much we hate, it was a good season for Liverpool. So tell me, how would you tell me about your experience this season? Coming back to having a new coach and everything, and winning it on his first season.
Well, honestly, I want to say thank you for the introduction first and foremost. And I really, really appreciate you bringing me here. Honestly, this is my very, very first time on any podcast. And I'm happy that you were the first one that brought me here, and it shows how the relationship that we both had from way back since 2008 when we met, or 2006. Actually, I think we met in 2006. And then, we joined the Marine Corps together, and we actually live in a basement. I don't know why you call it apartment. It was in a basement.
Yes.
That's where we started from, bro. But I'm glad that we're here today, and I appreciate it for you bringing me here for the first time, bro. I was already prepping up and be like, well, I got to give Arsenal a chance this time for them to actually see what's going on. And Man City, I already gave up hope on it. I was like, well, we're changing coach, so everything's going to change around. It's going to take like a couple years for us to get back right there on top again. I didn't have the belief in him whatsoever. I kept looking at Arne Slot's, backgrounds and stuff that he has done back at Feyenoord. But I'm still thinking in my head, I'm like, Feyenoord, in the Eredivisie compared to Premier League, it's not the same thing, But I was expecting maybe he can get us up to top 4, Top 4 was my goal. That, okay, if we get top 4, at least we get Champions League next season again coming through. But, God has a spectacular way of doing his thing. And, Arsenal decided to do 4 times in a row to become second.
That's an achievement.
It's a good one, and I like it. Some team has been taking 6, 7, and 8, but you guys stayed on second for 4 years in a row, bro. My son would never go to Arsenal. Just saying. I just gotta throw that in there real quick.
No, my nephew. I told you when I come to California, I'm bringing. I'll talk about California in a second, but I'm bringing him a good Arsenal jersey.
He knows he's not gonna wear it. He knows. He's a diehard Liverpool fan. Look, you see this right here? This right here was the day me and him went to Anfield. This was bought in Anfield Stadium on the day we played 3-0 against Bournemouth.
Well, you went with him?
Yes, me and him went there to Anfield together. This was the day that we played.
How old was he then?
He's 7.
Oh, nice.
7. He just turned 8 in January, so this was like September last year. And thank God it was like 1 week after we lost our first game to Nottingham Forest at home, right? And then it was the following week that I flew to Liverpool, and me and my son was actually opportunity to be at that stadium for the first time. And I tell you what, my brother, who is an Arsenal fan, was sitting right next to us.
Yeah,
because I took him to the stadium, right?
Sometimes I always ask him, like, how is it that he made the right choice? And he wouldn't tell his elder brother to also make the right choice.
Bro, you need to see how my brother was jumping when he saw goals coming in and the way we played football. You know what I'm saying? The way we played football, he was mesmerized. You can see him jumping. I'm like, look at the Arsenal fan. Look at
that. What's on my bucket list is to watch a game at Anfield. I don't care if it's Arsenal playing. I think Anfield is one of those places where it's crazy. Like the atmosphere is something else. Like that's why it's hard to as a visiting team to win at Anfield. That place is different. I think it's that Scouser, people from there, the personalities but
it's different.
But speaking of Arsenal coming second place again, let me remove myself as an Arsenal fan. You are my guest on this show, right? I also want to look at, because what we want to be doing on Game Plan Africa podcast is also have fan perspective, right? And you rightly said, we've come, what is this? This is the 4th time we've come second. That in itself is a record, right?
It is.
What does that say about, remove fandom, remove the banter, remove the, what does that say about Arsenal? Does that say that, there are people on the aisle of, we have to fire Arteta. Arteta has to go. He's set in his ways. It's the same thing every now and then. We know that we'll end up, people will say we bottle the league or we'll end up second. Or do you think it's something that shows that the EPL is actually a very difficult, look at Man City, right? They they didn't make it this season. We thought this would be our chance, but then Liverpool was there lurking, right? So what does it say about Arsenal, and what does it say about the Premiership?
Honestly, just like you said, right, moving on the banter or anything like that, I think Arteta has done a fantastic job with having to hold that position that he is right now. And I don't think he needs to get fired. I think the backdrop of the club needs to do something in terms of bringing the right player to make it work. And Premier League is not a joke. Bro, about 3 or 4 seasons ago, we won this league with 87 points. About 3 seasons ago, we had 98 points, and we still did not win the league at 98 points. On final day, 98 points, we still never won the league. That tells you how frustrating, how competitive that league is. For somebody to have 98, but we won this one with 87 points. And we still got like 4 games to spare. We played every single game, ended up at 98 points, and we still never won the league because Man City had 99 points. So I think Arteta is just missing key factor. One, if you want to build a team, just like Liverpool did, right? If you want to build it, if you want to win the league, you need a top class striker, you need a top class defender, and you need a top class goalkeeper. Right? You can sprinkle everything that you need in the midfield and so on and so forth. But those 3 key areas are where you win the league from. Because one, you need a good goalkeeper and a good defender to make sure that you're not conceding goals. And you have that top striker that's going to give you goals week in, week out. And that was one thing Arsenal struggled with all this time, right? Jesus is a good striker, but he is injury prone. He's never fit. Now you put all that pressure on Saka. You put all that pressure on Martinelli. Remember, those 2 are still boys yet. Don't get me wrong, they are phenomenal players. But looking at the people who has won the league in the past, those are players that are in their prime. I'm talking about between 27 and the age of 30. Sprinkling in between there and have like maybe 1 or 2 25-year-olds and below. But you need men to win Premier League. Honestly, and that's me being honest.
So you think I'll say something about the players that you mentioned that the positions that you mentioned that are integral to winning a league. We did have those positions, except that
they are not natural. They are not natural born killers.
No.
When you talk about natural born killers, I mean, look at you give Haaland. He takes the ball in the box, 99% chance that ball is going in.
Right. No,
Put Salah in there.
Yes.
99% chance that ball is going in the net.
Right. I had that.
Looking at Jesus.
Yeah. I had that. My last segment. That I do. I say I hail you, where I talked about Osimhen, right? And I talked about. How I like his style of play as a striker, like Isak, right? Or like Haaland, that you just mentioned, or Salah, right? These are strikers or ballers where they as our people would say, make it no carry eye, see post, right? As far as he sees that goal and the ball, he has the ball. It's going in. There's no there's no dancing around it, and that is what we were missing. This season, obviously, we were unlucky with injuries up front, and we had to convert a midfielder to a striker with Merino, right? Yep. But on the other positions that you mentioned, there is that argument that we have the best backline, right? With Saliba, Gabriel, Magalhaes, and although the fullbacks,
I think those two can suffice and still win you something.
Right.
But you might not agree with what I want to say next.
Okay.
Your goalkeeper. You need a top class goalkeeper. Don't get me wrong, Raya is a good goalie. Okay. But for you to win Premier League, you need a top class goalkeeper.
Do you think that Raya was an upgrade from Ramsdale?
Yes.
Okay.
It was just an upgrade from Ramsdale, right?
Right.
But it's not where it needs to be. You cannot compare Raya with the likes of Alisson. You cannot compare Raya with the likes of, Edison.
You think Alisson is better than Raya and Edison
Bro, 100%. The statistics is there, bro.
No, but
I'm not even going to sit here and argue with you.
No. If you're doing statistics, though, Raya just won the Golden Glove.
Yeah, because he played every single game. My goalie didn't play every. You remember in the first 3 months of the season, my second goalie was in the goalpost. Even when I went there in September, Kelleher was still in the goalpost. My goalie didn't come in until
But
November.
That is not my problem. That is not our problem.
I know it's not.
Okay.
But Alisson has been in the same league as Raya. Alisson has always been there, always had the Golden Glove, right? Before when they were in there. But now because of that injury that he had in the first 3 or 4 months of the season, Raya did a fantastic job. But trust me, you still need a top-class goalie and a top-class striker. And Arsenal needs to spend that money. That's where you guys are missing.
I agree with you, right? I agree with you that now he's still going to be our number one goalkeeper, but I think you need that second goalie to... You know, what killed us this season? Forget the injuries, right? Which kind of relates to the injuries, what I'm about to say, is the depth.
That's another thing too.
We didn't have a bench.
That's huge.
Right? So when Saka went down, when Havertz went down, we were now trying to plug in players, convert players at their natural positions, and then, I think that also happens with the goalkeeping. There was boneheaded mistakes that Raya made in this season. But, not to dwell on that, speaking of Mo Salah, right?
Mo Salah.
Keep singing your Mo Salah.
Running down the way. Salah, Egyptian king. There you go. You got to put some respect to that dude's name, man.
Are you done?
You got to show some respect.
Are you done? Actually, I do respect Mo Salah. I did a segment the other day that I was asking a question on. It's up on YouTube right now. On where I was asking I should actually ask you this. It's part of the questions that I will ask you. Here in the United States, there's this thing we do where legendary players, their jerseys, number jerseys are retired, right? Nobody will wear that jersey again, that number jersey again. So I had a list of players that I was like, if you ask me, I would, because I'm a big fan of Nwankwo Kanu.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I always tell you, right? I think that number, if we want to retire his jersey because of his accomplishments with the national team, that number 4 jersey should be retired. I mentioned there's an argument that you can go Austin Jejo Kocha, not necessarily because of his achievements in the national team, but because of the how he affects a lot of players. Many people pattern their game after him. And then I went as far as Didier Drogba, Samuel Eto'o, Roger Milla, and then I mentioned Mo Salah, right? What do you think? Mo Salah, let's keep it at Egypt, right? Do you think he deserves to, if we're going to do that, I know that's not happening, right? But if that was to happen, does he deserve to have his number retired because of his accomplishments for both club and country? 100%.
I agree with you on that one, that jersey needs to be retired because he has been a fantastic player, a legend for the club and also for country as well, right? But I don't think he's an English.
Mo Salah didn't win. He didn't win AFCON, right?
He didn't win AFCON. Right?
Okay.
He almost did it until Mane took it from him via penalty shootout. So, that was close.
That's my guy, Mane.
So I think it should be retired, but I don't think it's an English thing for them to retire jerseys. Only here in the United States that we do that. Yeah. And also, I've never seen it done in football. I've always seen it done in basketball. Or like American football, but I think for that number to be retired, like you said, I think he deserves it 100%. He deserves it.
Okay. So staying with Mo Salah, right? Let me table this to you. You are in charge of CAF African Footballer. You're one of the committee. You're in the committee of African Footballer of the Year. You know, you're one of them deciding. If they came to you and say it's now between Mo Salah, right, and Victor Osimhen, who deserves it?
Okay.
And why?
For what I've seen in the past, right? From what I've seen in the past is usually they look at statistics in club and country level. Right? And they also look at achievements that you have achieved in terms of, you know, medal and so on and so forth, right? Yeah,
for that year.
Yeah, they look at all that stuff for them to put it together. But honestly, me being a Nigerian, everything in me wants to give it to Osimhen as a Nigerian, right? Everything in me wants to give it to him.
But if we remove that bias aside
inside of it, right? I think Salah deserves it just by a little bit of edge because of how many numbers he has broken in this season only in terms of goals and assists. That guy is I don't see how somebody is. You are the highest goal scorer in the league, and you are also the assist king in the league, in Premier League. Right? I don't know any other player who has done that in this era, and I don't think Osimhen has that kind of record. Osimhen's got the goals, but he doesn't have the assists to help other players out, and that's where Salah has that edge over him.
So if Osimhen, if we want to do the argument and say, okay, Osimhen, I think Osimhen scored more
this season,
goals, right?
No,
I think he did.
No,
yeah, he scored. I think he scored 35 goals with Galatasaray.
In all competitions,
as a total.
Okay, because
in all competitions,
Salah
I could be wrong. I think I did that
only. So let's not just go there. Only 29 in the league, right? 29 in the league, and it tops also the assist more than any other central midfielder in the Premier League.
So you would go. So it's a tiny edge, right?
Past Osimhen.
Past Osimhen. Okay, so what we're going to do? We're going to talk about the World Cup next, right? We both of us live in the United States, opposite ends of the United States. You're in the West, I'm in the East. I said earlier that California, I'll mention it. California, I think California is one of the soccer states. So if in the United States, there are states where they carry soccer for head, you know, like our country people will say. California is one of them. If you go in the Midwest, you know, they love soccer around there, right? Here in the North is almost, you know, they try as well. So the World Cup is coming next year. It's gonna be big because the last time the World Cup was in the United States was in '94. So that's more than 30. That's, what is that? 32 years ago.
Yep.
I don't want
now
to.
Up to
32 years ago.
20 something years.
No, 32 years. Maths for Marines.
Is it 32?
Yes.
94, 2004, 2014,
yes.
2024. Damn.
Yeah, exactly. That is how long.
It's already.
Yeah, long USA '94 was, right?
Jeez.
It makes you feel old, right? But anyways,
I know.
I'm not going to dwell more. I was going to do the whole, what is the economic impact of it in the United States? This is the United States. No matter how much, you know, whatever happens, the economy will still be there. But I think because this is a podcast about sports in Africa, what does that mean when it comes to the countries that will qualify, that will get here, right? There is that aspect of it. But also let's look at the before you talk about that, and hopefully Nigeria will qualify. That's another thing. And I need you to talk about that also. But I want you to start with soccer. Before you mention soccer in the US, you mention American football, baseball, basketball, even hockey. Before you start mentioning soccer, you know what I mean. So what does that?
They don't know what they're missing.
Exactly, right? And and even when you brought Messi here, right? You brought Messi and the fanfare. Everybody was going crazy. I remember when that happened. Remember when he signed with Inter Miami, and people were like, "Man, maybe this sport will start growing here in the United States." But it's still struggling. So how do you think now with the World Cup coming here next year, with the fanfare and everything, that Ronaldo might actually end up playing? How would that help with the sports? The popularity of the sports in the US.
I think it will help a little bit, not that much, because it's going into 3 different countries.
Well, yes, you're right.
If it was coming straight to America,
right.
If it was coming just only in America, then, everybody will be here. The thing will actually make a lot of sense. It will provide, tourism into the United States. It will bring in all the funds, economical development, infrastructural development will start to happen, and things like that will also boost the morale of the players that are actually in here, because there's going to be a lot of scouts that's going to be in here to watch players and so on and so forth. But for the fact that it's going to Mexico, which is another big place when it comes to soccer.
Oh, yes.
Mexico is really big.
Yes.
Right? I can't even say more than America. They do
definitely.
Soccer more than they do in America, 100%.
Yes.
Right? And then it's going to Canada also, which is also sharing almost similarities when it comes to soccer within the United States.
Right.
Right? So that would take a little bit of the economical boost that we are trying to talk about now, because it's going 3 different countries. If it's just coming straight to America, everything is here from start to finish, then that would be a big boost for us.
So, having said that, right? I mean, because you're right, it's being divided into 3 different places, right? It's going to Canada, the US, and Mexico.
For somebody like me now, I cannot go into Mexico to go watch it.
I was just going to say, right, personally, because I was going to bring it to you, right, personally as, what are you doing? Like, I know you're a big fan of soccer, right? You love the sport. You would go, the other day I called you and you were watching, I was
watching San Diego FC played against LA Galaxy.
Exactly. So, and I know you go to some of these games. So how does that now help as a transplant, right? Us that immigrated to the United States and they are bringing this to us. How excited are you about that? And hopefully Nigeria, trying to hopefully we'll make
exactly what I want to say, right? Right. And then it depends on how Nigeria is being grouped.
Right. Or if we will make
into the World Cup. Or if we make it, right? Because if we don't make it, then I don't have no plans of Canada. I cannot even go to Mexico.
Why? You keep saying you can't go to Mexico. Why is that?
Yeah, because I'm still currently active duty. Right. And I don't want to go through that stress of me doing all the paperwork in order for me to go into Canada. I mean, into Mexico, right? Because it takes a general to sign the document for me to go into Mexico. So I can't. I don't want to go through all that stress to go in there. But if I'm going to go to Canada, it only takes my battalion commander to sign off on it. Okay, you go to Canada. Okay, good. Okay. Right? So take, for example, if Nigeria makes it to the World Cup and they end up in Mexico, then I'm not going.
That would be messed up.
Then I'm not going, right? But if it's somewhere in Canada, I've already spoken to my sister over there in Canada. I said, hey, the World Cup is coming. If it happens that Nigeria qualifies and we are over there in Canada, expect to see me sometime, because I don't have to do extra paperwork in order for me to go there. And if it's here in America, even better. If it's here in California, way better for me, right? So I think that's the same thing that's going to happen with other people, that their country is being coming into the World Cup also, right? If their team is in Canada and Mexico, that means they're not bringing the money to the United States. You know what I mean? Unless once they go through the groups and then let's say they want to put one of the second round matches into United States, then they start to come, right? But if the whole thing was done in the United States from start to finish, that's huge.
It is. The sad thing is, it's just when you as a fan of your country, right? All of us, we love Nigeria and we're hoping that Nigeria makes it. But we have gotten to where now we're doing math, combination and permutation. If we win this number of matches, and and this country loses this number of matches, that it sucks. It really does. So hopefully we do make it. It's because it's like what I just said about Osimhen, right? Osimhen, and there's this. They are playing the Unity Cup, and there's been new crop of players that's been invited. The talent, the country is so blessed with talent. Like, it's so blessed. And I heard the coach saying that even if you want to dwell on the local league, the Nigerian league, there are players that are hungry, that are doing well. Unfortunately, it's when it's time to play, we've not just been lucky. Who did we play last? Was it Zimbabwe?
I can't remember.
Zimbabwe that we
we
drew with. I was there in the stadium. Right, so I hope we make it. But I will end with this. Let me ask you this. It's a question where everybody, you as a sports or football pundit from Africa, we always, you get asked this question a lot, and because of patriotism or being biased, we always answer, yes, it's going to happen. But truly and truly, do you think an African country will lift the Mondial, lift the World Cup very soon? Well, starting with 2026. and if that was to happen, what country do you think would do it?
Honestly, I think the closest an African country has come through was in quarterfinal. That Suarez didn't let them go. It was Ghana.
That's why Suarez is never welcome.
That was Ghana, because I remember that. Suarez didn't let them go into.
But hold on, stay on that. Before, do you blame Suarez or do you blame who is it that played the penalty, that missed the penalty?
No. Dude wants to win. If he didn't do that, that was a goal.
You were giving
they would have been out,
and then you missed it. Yeah.
And then you didn't score. So if Suarez didn't do what he did for his country, that's you putting your life on the line for your country. That's how passionate this guy wants to win. This guy will. Can I say that on this podcast?
Oh yeah,
this guy will bite you just to win a game.
Yo.
This guy will bite you to win a game. So he's putting his life on the line. This dude was right there in the goalpost like a goalie, used his hand to push out the ball, hoping for a penalty, which happened, and then they threw it away. When they threw away the penalty, that was how Uruguay won that game, because of what Suarez did. That's you putting your life on the line for.
I remember watching that match.
That right there, he deserves a Medal of Honor for that.
Medal of Honor, but never will ever step foot in Ghana.
It's okay. It's okay if it doesn't ever come to Ghana. That's totally okay.
That was South Africa.
You know what I mean?
Right? 2010. Sorry.
Yeah, 2010. Yeah, 2010. When Spain won it. I think Spain won that one. Well, to answer your question though, right? The only thing that I would say is I have to see new generations of players coming in to make a decision on that, because right now the kind of team that has been produced in Africa, the kind of all the economical thing that is behind it, and our mentality of how we do things in Africa will never let African soccer get to where it needs to be, because people are too I don't know. The mentality is just different. You come to the European country over here, you see a small country that is giving everything and being honest on how they're going to do things when it comes to their players and everything, right? I was watching a podcast the other day where what's this guy's name? He played for AC Milan and he played for Barcelona. His brother played for Ghana and the other one played for Germany. No, he's not Frimpong. Boateng, right? Where the other one played for Ghana, and then his elder brother played for Germany. I was watching that podcast the other day when the guy said just because him and Sule Muntari, they stood up and talked for their team, the next day they found a letter in their hotel room saying they are banned from the team. They took them out of there in the World Cup. They were the two best players that Ghana had in that team. Apart from Asamoah Gyan. So that tells you that you cannot stand up against, or you can't stand up for what is right in Africa. If you can't do that, then we are not going to reach anywhere, because everybody wants things to go their way. It's not the way the football and the soccer is designed to go through.
So in essence, it's something that I've always preached, moving away from sports a little bit. That I'll keep it to the country that where we're from. And I keep telling people, because everybody keeps crying about corruption. And I tell people, corruption is not going to end tomorrow, except, and I'll say this, and some people will look at me crazy, right? Except if we start critically looking at our cultures, right? And there's a reason I say that, because of certain diehard, not to deviate further, but because of how our cultures are, there are certain things we can't do, right? Because, culturally we are not allowed to do, right? You are not allowed to talk to I'll give you an example. You're not allowed to talk to your elders in a certain way, right? Culturally, respect and everything, even when you know that your elder is wrong, right? And that have crept into the sports. It has crept into the national teams where players.
It has crept into
everything, right? So when you know that there are players that deserve, in this podcast I just mentioned how the coach said there are players in the local league that are doing well, that deserve to play in the national team. But you and I know that that's not going to happen. I'm not going to mention name. You can't get a forward, right? Osimhen is the best forward out there, right? But you can't go in Enyimba. Let me use my team, right? You can't go to Enyimba and get a forward there and be like, come on, bench Osimhen, right? That's not going to happen because of that. Okay, you know who senior you cannot cross that line. So.
But let me go back. But let me quickly interject when you talk about the culture. But my guy, who the culture?
No, exactly. Right. Yeah. That's the thing. We're stuck in our ways.
People here on this part of the world or outside Africa, that they remove the culture thing and speak with honestly in their mind and everything. They have been successful. Right. So if we continue to stay below, say, hey, culture this, culture that, it has been the thing that has crept every single thing you do in that part of the world up till today. People need to change the mentality so that they can move away from that cultural thing and call a spade a spade. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Let's do it the right way, and we keep moving on to do good things.
I agree with you. It's just.
And that is where we are holding ourselves, because we want to stay under this thing of this culture. Who the culture help?
And you're right. It's again, the reason I mentioned culture is because even the people at the helm, right, we're still. It's like, I don't want to go into controversial aspects of this whole thing, but it's. The world is going young, and what I mean by that is most things that are happening now is being run by young people. When you have head of organizations that are like that have this old school, you know, mentality, right? And are still stuck there, stuck in their ways. You know, these things take time. But hopefully, 2026. I don't even care if it's Nigeria. Hopefully, it's Nigeria. But if it's, you know, like you said, Ghana was. I remember that tournament, man, where Ghana was, because we didn't make it now. You know, so what we had to do was associate ourselves with
the African team that is
and
making
Ghana
it
was the
after
closest
that
one to
yeah.
us, and they were like, you know, they were. I think and that team was stacked. You had. Did we have? Stacked. I think Sule Montari was in that team as well. Did SCN play?
Yeah.
SCN was in that team too, right?
I think SCN was in that team, yeah. But he was going towards his you know, prime.
He was almost done.
Past his prime after that time.
But
yeah, it was almost done.
But man, I really thank you for coming on with me today. This is gonna be a regular thing. So especially when Arsenal plays and destroys, you know, every weekend when we're winning, you know, I'll bring you. Wait, let me finish. Your body day, your body day hot. Calm down first. You know, when we don't win, you know, I'll bring you. See, next season, this is Game Plan Africa, guys. Excuse me, let me deviate a little bit. But next season, we are bringing. I heard it's either Sesko, Gyökeres, or what's this kid that played for Man City that they let go, that played I think he went to Atletico Madrid. Alvarez. I heard the latest is Alvarez, you know. Who knows? My clothes are ISF.
I think Alvarez will be a good player.
I said that too.
Be a phenomenal
that too because, you know, people were more concerned about. He didn't score as many goals as Gyökeres.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for bringing me up today. Please, anytime you need me on the show again, please. I am always open. Just get me in. Just let me know, and then I'm gonna do Liverpool.